All right, Merry Christmas, y'all. Nothing special today. We're just going to be recapping these Christmas games and what maybe we learned from these games. And I really thought about not watching the first game. I'm on the West Coast. I thought about just sleeping in. 9 a.m. hoops, that's a little bit tough. It's a little bit tough, but I got up and I did not regret it at all. Victor Wembanyama put on a show, and obviously the Knicks won, but Victor Wembanyama and Mikal Bridges put on a show. But I want to speak on Vic for a second because we don't have a lot of moments in the regular season for basketball anymore. The Warriors and LeBron James kind of ruined that. No one cares about the regular season anymore. That's why we have the in-season tournament. But this Christmas, even though the NFL is trying to steal Christmas, Christmas for now is still an NBA thing, and this was still a NBA moment that a lot of kids today probably never tuned into Wemby before, but they did today, and they seen greatness to the point where maybe they want to watch the next Wemby game, right? These used to be a regular occurrence for NBA basketball. Like, regular season games used to be events. Now we only really have Christmas, right? And the NBA Cup and all that. But I think a lot of kids seen Wemby today and became fans. Or not even just kids, a lot of casual NBA fans probably heard this guy's name but never tuned into an actual game. And if this was your first time seeing Wemby, you probably became a fan. A lot of people in New York probably watching this game that haven't got a chance to catch a Spurs game. They probably became fans today. And that's cool. That's how the sport grows and maintains relevance. So with all the ratings talk, right? This was a big moment for Wemby and the NBA. Maybe I'm reaching with that, but I think it was. And watching the Spurs, you always feel like they are right there. Like if Devin Vassell was a little bit better, or if Chris Paul was a little bit younger, right? It just feels like they are one creator away, but not this elite creator, just someone else that can do something with the ball. And they would be right there as a real playoff team. But I still feel like we are sleeping on them as a real playoff team. Everyone was talking about his shot selection, get closer to the rim, all that, which is still valid, right? It's still valid. But people were talking about it as if, okay, he just has a lot to figure out. He's still going to be amazing. He's still going to be one of the best in the NBA, but he has a lot to figure out. And he still does. But I don't think people are acknowledging that right now, Wemby is the third or fourth best player in the conference. It's Jokic, Luka, Shea, then probably AD. We'll give that to AD for now. And then it's Wemby. Like, Wemby's better than Ant right now. He's better than Bron. He's better than Steph. Not saying that will be the case at the end of the year, but right now, probably Kevin Durant. Probably Kevin Durant. My bad. I would take Jokic. I would take Shea. I would take Luka. I would take Kevin Durant, and I might take AD. I'm not even sure on AD just because the shooting is such a large variable. And there was all the talk in the world of Wemby being a top 10 player. Then at the beginning of the year, we kind of let that settle down. But right now, he is that. So when do we take that a little bit more seriously? So I'll just leave that there for now. On the Knicks side of it, Mikal Bridges went absolutely crazy. Probably his best game of the year. And this reminded me of like a football team. Hear me out for a second. And I'm not sure this is actually the best game to explain it, but it showed how it could be, right? Hear me out. You always hear about like the Eagles, how game script, how if they get up in a game, it's almost impossible to beat them. Because if they're up, they could lean on Saquon Barkley, they could run the ball, and you'll never really have a chance to get ahead of them, right? The Knicks have something the Celtics and Cavaliers don't really have, at least not to that extent. I know this game might seem like out of the blue for Mikal Bridges, but he's been a great mid-range shooter. I've seen it firsthand against the Pelicans. Him and Chris Paul hitting mid-range jumper after mid-range jumper to send the Pels home. So this is nothing new. And when you add that to Jalen Brunson and Cat in the post, like, Donovan Mitchell is a good mid-range shooter. I would assume Darius Garland is a good mid-range shooter. Never really looked at his numbers. Evan Mobley has been decent in the mid-range, right? But it's not like a deadly weapon for any of those guys. Whereas you look at Mikal or you look at Brunson, they are deadly in the mid-range. You look at Jason Tatum, not a very good mid-range player. Jaylen Brown, in the mid-range, right? Porzingis, obviously elite in the mid-range. But I say that because they might be a team that is dangerous to get down to, right? Because if you're in the fourth quarter and they're up by 8 points with 6 minutes left, if nothing else, they're going to get a clean mid-range look from an elite mid-range shooter. something we see like the Celtics offense at times can't get that shot. Now they make all their threes, so it doesn't matter, but there'll become a game where they don't make those threes, and that might come back to bite them. Whereas the Knicks, you know for sure we can get a good shot on every single possession, not just a three. So Mikal dominating in large part from the mid-range today was just another reminder that they can do that as well. So we'll leave it there for now. All right, moving on to Mavericks T-Wolves, where Luka goes out early, Kyrie gets hot, they come back. I don't want to focus too much on the Mavericks side of things. Hopefully Luka's not out too long. Obviously Kyrie went crazy in the fourth quarter. It was a 2-point game or a 3-point game when Kyrie swung the ball to Klay Thompson. He had a pretty open one, maybe not for a regular shooter, but for Klay Thompson, a pretty open three. And he swung it one more to PJ Washington in the corner. I think Klay has to take that shot. And then the next possession down, he took that shot and made it. Then he missed another big one down late. But I think that one he swung to PJ, that was an in-rhythm shot for Klay too. I think he should have pulled that one. But to me, the more intriguing side is the winning team in Minnesota. Somehow I end up even less bullish on this team after a win. The offense collapsed, and again, Anthony Edwards made a couple clutch shots down the stretch, and that's what it's going to have to be for this team, because they don't really have any real creation outside of Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle. Like, I don't want to come up here and act like, oh, I'm this big Julius Randle guy. I've never been a Julius Randle guy. I thought Julius Randle was going to be a terrible basketball player. I'll tell you that from his rookie year, or I guess, not technically his rookie year, but you get what I'm saying. But Julius Randle has been fine. Like, I can't, if you think Julius Randle is going to play hard every single play and be the effort guy, no, that's not him. But as far as his role on the team, I think he's been fine. I think the real problem is Jaden McDaniels and Naz Reid are not those guys. You should be able to expect at least 12 to 15 points from those guys every single night. And Jaden McDaniels, you're not even confident he can get you 10 points, because he didn't get you 10 points in this game. He's averaging 10 on the dot, and think about this team and how desperately they need offense, and he can't give it to them at all. Again, I'm not expecting him to be Kevin Durant or Brandon Ingram or anybody like that, but they were expecting to be able to rely on this guy to get them 12 to 15 every single night. Last 2 games, 3 of the last 4 games, single digits. And in December, he's all the way down to attempting just 3.3 3-pointers. Think about all the attention that Ant attracts, and he's not even willing to get up the shots anymore. So really, every time I watch this team, that is what I'm looking at most. A lot of people are looking at Randle. You kind of get what you get with Randle. DiVincenzo, yes, he has to hit more shots. Naz Reid has to hit more shots, but that swing piece, if McDaniels is going to be this, like, there's going to be a ceiling on how good they can be offensively. Next up, we have the 76ers and the Celtics. Obviously, not much to take from this game, or I shouldn't say obviously. Let me tell you why. Because Paul George was a -16, Joel Embiid was a -18, Tyrese Maxey carried them in a lot of ways, but also Caleb Martin hit 7 threes. And if you're the Celtics, you've kind of seen this movie before. If you're Philadelphia, you love what you've seen from Maxey, able to abuse guys like Luke Cornett and Porzingis in the pick and roll, able to beat even guys like Jaylen Brown down the court with his speed. But that's something we already knew. We didn't really learn much there. I don't think Maxey's gonna have this type of game, but I actually don't like Derek White on Tyrese Maxey. Maybe that's something we could take away from this game. I think Derek White is better on a guy like Paul George, who's slower, methodical, wants to get to his spots. Maxey, as crafty as he is, his biggest weapon is still the speed. And Derek White, of course, can do a decent job on him, right? If you had Derek White to put on Maxey, you were feeling fine, actually. But if you're the Celtics, you have so many options. I actually like Jaylen Brown on him more. I think Jaylen Brown, gets lower, is more quick twitch, can meet him at the rim, right? So if I was Missoula, I'd have Jaylen Brown on Maxey. I'd have Derek White on Paul George, and I'd let Jason Tatum be a roamer, maybe guard Kelly Oubre. You can help off Oubre. Oubre can also be a problem on the offensive boards at times, so Tatum is very good at rebounding, right? He can combat that. But I don't want to overdo it with this game. I don't in any way think that Philadelphia matches up well with Boston. I do think it's interesting that Boston is now 22-8, and I say that like it's a bad record, but 22-8 is almost disappointing. I know that's crazy to say, but it kind of is for this team. Like they're now just as close to the Bucks as they are to Cleveland almost. Like they could fall back into this pack, and that could get interesting. So we'll keep an eye on that. But moving on to the Lakers and the Warriors, and what's new? The Warriors cannot score the basketball. Even with Anthony Davis leaving the game, the Warriors still can't score the basketball. If you look at the total, it doesn't seem like they struggled scoring that much, but they still have these droughts where they cannot score at all. And it's crazy how that happens with a guy that is supposed to be a top 5, top 3 offensive player of all time in Steph Curry. And I'm not saying he's not that, but I do think a lot of it is a product of this Warriors Steve Kerr offense that completely stalls out. Now, the end of this game was crazy. Steph hit some crazy 3-pointers. Austin Reeves with the game winner over Wiggins. Kuminga was right there for the help. Did not get there at all. If I'm Steve Kerr, I don't get why you put Kuminga out there. I know that sounds like a contradictory statement, although I've never been Kuminga is clearly a superstar. I've never been on that train. I've been on the train of either give him a chance or don't, just move him. If you're up 2 and you know they're probably going to go for a 3, I understand having a more switchable Kuminga out there, but tie game, you know they have LeBron James who's probably going to get to the rim. They have Reeves who gets to the rim, gets fouled. I probably want TJD out there, who has been playing great over these last 2 games. And where's Kyle Anderson? Another DMP for Kyle Anderson. I don't get what's going on there. But Kuminga, supposed to be a breakout year. But in year 4, we are in the exact same spot with Jonathan Kuminga, if not in a worse spot. Couple weeks ago at this point, we had the whole show of Steve Kerr talking about, man, we really gotta invest in Kuminga now. We're gonna start him, it's time to let him go, see what he can do. Couple games later, benched, right? We had Draymond talk about how, man, my vets took a back seat for me, man. I gotta pay it forward. Benched a couple games later. So I don't know what that was all about. They got Schroeder. Schroeder's not playing well, and they can't score. Right? And it's crazy how no one ever stops to think maybe it has something to do with the fact that their second most important player can't score, and the ball is in his hands so much. Like, I'm not saying that's the only problem, right? But maybe that is a big part of the problem, that the ball is in the hands of a guy that can't score when it's not in Steph's hands. And by the way, I'm not saying that someone on this team should have the ball more, although they probably should, right? I'd put the ball in Wiggins' hands more, Kuminga's hands more. If Moody was playing, Moody's hands more. Like, I feel like all those guys could do more on ball than they are allowed to do in this offense. But I bring up Draymond not because, oh, he's stopping this player from being whatever. No, I'm not the biggest Kuminga believer. I just don't think whatever he's going to be under Steve Kerr. I think we've seen that at this point. But in the case of Draymond, no one ever stops to think, why is Draymond so untouchable? Like, are you guys really going into 2025 with Draymond being the second most important player on your team? No one talks about how that might be a big hindrance on the offense. I mean, you trade for Schroeder, another ball handler, and to close games, the ball is going to be in Draymond's hands or Steph's hands, which means you're going to have Schroeder on the wing playing a role that Pods might actually be better at, right? All the commotion about Pods not being this great player. Well, if all you want Pods to do is stand on the perimeter and move the ball and take wide open shots and crash the boards and take charges, we've seen Pods is very good at that. We've seen that last year. So you bring in Schroeder almost to play the Pods role when you needed Schroeder to handle the ball. But again, that's only so much you can do because you got to give it to Draymond. Because where's Draymond going to be on the court if he's not involved in the action? You bring in Schroeder, tell him to get to the rim. He's playing with Looney, TJD, and Draymond, and Kuminga for that matter. You want Kuminga to get to the rim, he's playing with Draymond and Looney and TJD. No one ever stops to think, man, maybe Draymond is part of that problem. And Draymond is still an amazing defender, but all the depoy talk this year, no. He has some great moments because, of course, he's going to have some great moments. He's going to have some great quarters, some great halves. He might even have a great game here and there. But consistently, it's not outweighing the fact that they can't score. And Draymond's best position is 5. Well, now we can't play him at 5 because, you know, it's going to wear on him. Bro, they got to win games. So you're telling me your best value is at the 5, but you're not even going to play that position. You're going to play the 4 and potentially block Kuminga from potentially blossoming. Not that I believe he would, but we can't even play our best lineup because it doesn't suit you for like what are we doing here? It's not like Draymond's not this elite rebounder anymore. He had a bunch of blocks tonight, but it's not like he's flying across the court like he used to protecting the rim anymore. Right now, he is a very, very good, great even role player. Not prime, I'm not talking prime Draymond. That's what he is at this stage of his career. I'm not talking about prime Draymond. I'm talking about right now, and the Warriors are still viewing him as this building block of a player when for an 82 game stretch, that's not who he is right now. And the fact that in 2025, we're making roster decisions based on who fits with Draymond on the court or off the court personality wise is absurd to me. It's absurd to me. But one last thing on this game, first of all, hope AD is all right. But also, if you watch the Warriors, pay attention going forward to how many times Steph Curry leaves someone wide open in the corner. Pay attention. End of the third, he left Rui, I believe, once. Then he left Max Christie, and then he left another one where he kind of got stuck in between two and just did the classic Steph point, and the guy missed it. So that one didn't come back to hurt them. All right, last game was Nuggets Suns. It was the worst game. It was a boring game. It was a slog. And this game taught me that the Western Conference is actually mid. That's what I learned today. The West is mid. The Wolves are mid. The Suns are mid. The Lakers are mid. The Warriors are mid. The Nuggets are mid. And the Spurs are mid. But their goal this year was to be mid. So they're doing what they want to do. This Nuggets team, everyone knows it. Jamal Murray, if he scores, they look decent. If he doesn't, it looks like they're not that good of a team. It's that simple. It's why they're looking to trade Michael Porter Jr. apparently, because they don't have enough shot creation. So as much as Michael Porter Jr. provides spacing, they need someone else that can create a play. And the Nuggets offense is kind of reminding me of the Warriors offense. It's kind of like the inverse where, you know, Steph Curry needs Draymond to be better and Jokic needs Jamal Murray to be better. Kind of the roles reversed there. But even if those guys are better, like even if Jamal Murray was in top shape form, I still think they would need another creator. Like we're in a different place in the NBA, even though it was just a year ago they won, or 2 years ago, whatever you want to call it. Now, if they got playoff Jamal Murray from a couple years, then yeah, maybe that would be good enough to win. But if you just look at playoff Jamal Murray compared to regular season Jamal Murray, that's never been the same guy. So I'm just saying if they had regular season, like good regular season Jamal Murray, I still don't believe that would be enough. I think they need another real shot creator, or maybe they don't because Jokic might be like top 3 all time when it's all said and done. He's that great. Now, the Sun side of it, we heard more Jimmy Butler rumors today. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Miami wants Bradley Beal. I don't think Jimmy Butler is going to fix Phoenix, right? This is going to be the most random thing, but I think Phoenix should be trying to go get John Collins. Random, I know, but they need more size. They need more of a physical presence on the interior on both sides of the court. John Collins, I don't think a lot of teams are knocking on Utah's door. He might be cheap. You have the money from Grayson Allen to throw in a deal. I don't know what that potential deal would look like. I'm not even going to do that fake trade right now because I am exhausted. We've been watching basketball all day, taking notes, yada, 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 recording a video, yada, yada, yada. I'm sorry I couldn't have too many videos going during this because like everything's so recent. It's hard for me to get the videos out, especially in ways that aren't copyright. I don't want to expose my tricks on that, but you know, there's a certain way to do it, and I can't do it this fast after the game for a lot of these games. So yeah, we're gonna call it here. We're gonna call it here. Most part, it was a successful day of NBA hoops. Christmas, they did not disappoint. The NFL, I didn't watch those games, but it didn't look like they were too entertaining. LeBron let it be known that Christmas is our day. And even though these teams are mid, even though um, Minnesota, Denver, Phoenix, Lakers, Warriors, Spurs, all mid, even though they're all mid, they are mid, and I enjoyed Christmas today. So thank you guys so much for watching. Merry Christmas, y'all. Please like, comment, subscribe. On the road to 7K now. We just hit 6K on the road to 7K now. I would greatly appreciate it if you subscribe. I'm out. Peace.